Hello everybody, welcome back. Today is going to be a little bit different here on my channel. I'm actually going to show you how I kind of recreate a workshop kit if I didn't purchase the workshop kit, as well as how I kind of use up scraps and various things. So I've posted 2 videos already using this Halloween Memories paper pack, the DSP and the sticker sheet, and the coordinating cardstock. I did not purchase the scrapbook kit, which is called Halloween Memories, but the difference in that is that the kit came with a couple of extra specialty papers and the instructions. And the instructions I found on the website, and these, if you can see, this black and white paper was one of the specialty papers, and this spider web paper, which is really cute. So I don't have those papers, and I didn't necessarily care for the designs as they are. These are the 3 different designs, and I do like them, but I didn't think that I needed the whole kit, so I went ahead and purchased the DSP paper pack with the sticker sheet, coordinating cardstock, and have been creating some really cute Halloween layouts with that. I will link to a couple of those layouts at the end of this video. So after I did a couple of layouts on my own, not using the Halloween Memories workshop instructions, I thought I would see what I have left and how I can incorporate what I have left into creating some of those layouts. So the first thing I did was kind of look at what it called for, and I didn't want to go ahead and make all the cuts ahead of time because I will most likely be changing a lot of it because I'm not following the kit exactly, because I didn't buy the kit exactly. So I did already have 2 full sheets of this orange polka dot paper with the spells on the back. I still had 2 full sheets of that, so I did go ahead and cut these center squares. I don't have this white paper, but I'm going to use white as my base layer with the orange in the middle. And these cuts for this page on the side are left over from cutting this orange paper, so I set those to the side. Outside of that, I didn't cut anything else because I want to kind of cut and create as I go. So this video is kind of going to be a mix-up of what I do with all 3 of these designs, how I translate this into layouts with what I have. So I hope you follow along. I will show you what I'm doing and give you some dimensions, some cuts. They're not going to be all the same as this. And this I will link to, if it's still on the website, I will link to it so you can download your own copy of this. So I'm using that. I'm using the paper. I went through my stash. I've told you before, I collect things from garage sales and thrift stores, and this is all of my Halloween stickers that I've had in my stash for quite some time. So I'm going to see about using up as much of this so I can start paring down what I have on these layouts as well, because like I said, I don't have the kit, and I have been using my sticker sheet here. So you'll see I've used all the bats, I've used my So Spooky, I mean, I've used some different titles and things off of this. So I'm going to need to dig into my own stash to be able to replace some of that, those embellishments, but I think I can find some cute titles with some of this. These are rub-ons that I've had forever. I just have some cute stuff that I need to be using, so I'm going to take this opportunity to use up as much of it as I can. I'm thinking about using these stickers to recreate this background paper. I can just stick my own spider webs on there. I'll probably add some spiders, and I think it'll be super cute. So anyways, I'm going to walk you through what I do with what's left of this, and then I will show you some of the layouts that I've created so you can see them all, what I've done all with one paper pack. I'm going to start by laying out some white cardstock as my base, and I have my squares that I already pre-cut. I'm going to lay those out, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab my spider stickers. I'm trying to recreate this border right here. I think the paper is really cute, but I didn't order the pack, so I'm going to carefully cut apart the spiders and the webs so that I can lay them out around the paper before committing to sticking them down. Now that I've got those down, I'm laying out my photo templates. These are placeholders that came in past kits that I have. And I'm just laying them out to figure out what I want to put on there, how I want to do my photos. On one side, I think I'm going to put square photos instead of the 3x4s. You can see here I decided to switch it. I am going to stick with the square. I only have 3 squares. I want my title up in that left square, which is why I switched them, so that the title would be over on the left. So I'm laying out my cute pumpkin stickers, and then I found some letter stickers that I'm going to use. You can see I put them out there. It says Carving Pumpkins. And now I'm just arranging my photos on the right side and other pieces that I cut from the guide to finish up this layout. So this one is all done. I'm going to show you the differences and pick these up so you can see them a little bit closer. The border is very simple, but I really like it. I've said it a whole bunch that I just like simple pages. And this one is another simple page, but it does the trick. It tells the story. So let me show you. This is what the instructions called for. So I did use these 3. This is a sticker, and these were some papers, and I put them up here going this direction instead of going vertical so that I could get my title in there. I didn't use these stickers. I do have them, but I didn't use them on here because they didn't really fit. I already used this sticker on a previous project. So, and I didn't use this stuff because I didn't think there was a reason for it, and I didn't want to bring in purple because there isn't any purple in these pictures, and I wanted to save the purple stuff for a different layout. So that takes care of this page. And then on this side, I did also use these 2 pieces. They're right here, and I use this piece and put it right here. So they're in a different location. They're still on here, and I wanted to make sure that I brought that in because I have it over here. And whatever I do on this side, I want a little bit on this side. So I also, because of that, I have these pumpkins here, put 1 pumpkin down here just to tie it across. As you can see, I definitely fit in a lot more photos. My biggest, not complaint, but the reason I didn't follow this as it is that there's just so much space on here for more photos, and I didn't want to leave that much white space, blank space on my layout. So I fit a whole lot more pictures on my layout, and still used a lot of the elements. So I still used the orange base square as much as I could. I recreated the white background with my own spiders and spider webs. I didn't have this title. I already used it, so I went into my stash and pulled out some letters and just made my own. I also didn't use this because I didn't take any pictures of the final pumpkins, and I wanted to use that spookiest little monster if I had a picture of the pumpkin. So I will also save that for another project. So you can see that I did keep the main idea of this page, this workshop layout, and just kind of did my own thing and made it my own. So that one is done. The next one, I'm going to just do a single layout, single page layout. Bring in my paper here. I'm going to use this paper. This is the 3rd project right here, and what I'm basically going to do is combine these 2 pages layouts into a single page layout. So I looked at my pictures. I know I have 4 photos, and what I think I'm going to do is something like this with a 5x7 as my focal picture there. And then I'm still going to do this white. I'm going to kind of use the background and how they did this, and I'll add in this banner. I'm just going to kind of make it smaller across the bottom, or maybe even across the middle. I haven't totally decided yet, but I like how they have this across the page on the top. I'm just going to move it to down here on the bottom and add 1 more, and then rotate this one this way and put all the other elements as much as I can on this page. I did already use the bats on another project, and I used the Halloween memories on another project, so I'll have to come up with something else for the title, but that's okay. So I'm going to kind of play around with this. I'll kind of walk you through what I'm doing as I do it. I'm going to bring in this first piece that I cut from the instructions, and according to the instructions, this photo should be a 4x6, and I'm making it a 5x7, and I'm rotating it from the vertical portrait orientation to landscape, which means that paper you can see there is going to be too small. I'm going to end up cutting it, but I also play around with this a lot. So I added my picture to it with the photo mat, and then I'm bringing in this striped paper strip across the width of the paper. That's also in the instructions. I cut that based off of the guide. This white piece is supposed to go behind the black and white striped piece in portrait orientation, but it also wasn't quite long enough, and I wasn't liking how it came out. So I cut it in half so that I can make it a little bit longer. I'm going to go back and mess with that a little bit more, but for now I'm going to go ahead and get my photos put on the bottom. Here you can see I cut out the bottom portion of that black and white striped, and that's how I made it a little bit bigger so that it would stretch across that photo. And then I ended up cutting out the middle again so that I could use that piece somewhere else on my layout. I like to get as much out of my paper as I can. Now I'm going to try to get this border that originally on the instructions is strung across the bottom where I put my 3 photos. So I took all the pre-cut pieces and I split them in half, and I'm trying to put one set on each corner, and then adding a little bit of that stripe down at the bottom. I don't like the bottom at all. I took that out, and I also don't like how many pieces of paper strips are up in those corners. So I eliminated a handful. I'm just putting 3 on each side to see if I like that. And then here I'm messing around with the rest of the pieces to see if they can go somewhere else on the layout. And now I'm back to the white pieces of paper that I still just don't really care for. You can see I moved them down to the bottom and tried them down there. Now I'm trying them different orientations. Spoiler alert, I end up putting them back right where they started, and that is where they will stay. So I put those back there. I'm going to trim this down so that it starts with the black. I want the top and the bottom to both have black. Now I'm bringing in some stickers from my stash just to kind of dress up my little ribbon clusters up there, make it a little cuter. I found these in my stash, and they're just little Halloween chipboard pieces. All right, this one is done as well. Single page. I do like how it came out. I'm not journaling on these just because there's not much to say. I have the date on the stickers, and I'm just going to leave it as is. So let me show you this one. So on this one, I flipped to this photo, so instead of it being portrait, it's landscape. And I had pre-cut this piece, so it wasn't quite big enough. You saw me cut it in half. So that is very similar to this part. I did keep the 3 banners up here. I had used these bats already, so I used some stars around the page instead. As you can see, there's a couple of stars here. So I did incorporate the stars. I did have to dig into my stash for some of these embellishments, the stickers to finish off these little clusters here. This is my triangle of clusters. The second page here, I wasn't able to get this banner the way I liked it, so I just took some of the pieces and added it over here in the corner to match this corner. I did keep this strip going across the middle right here, as you can see. And then instead of this section right here, I moved these pictures down and added one, so those are there. And then I went ahead and just used some of the stickers that I hadn't used and pieced them around and called this one good. I think it's very cute. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one away, and then I will get started on the next one. I'm going to show you what I have left here. I have one piece of this pattern paper left, and I have one piece of this pattern paper left. And then I've got all of these scraps. So I've got the orange with the books on the back. This is my green with the stripes on the back. Purple cardstock, some more of this. And then I've got the purple polka dots over here. And then I also have the pre-cut pieces that I've been working with that I cut out already from the instructions. So that's what I have left to work with. So this next one is this one right here. I'll bring that up a little bit closer so you can see it. And because I did not order the kit, I don't have this white paper with the black border. This is all one piece of paper that came with that workshop kit, or comes with it. So if you want to order the kit, here's a closer up. It's a grid paper with the black border, and it's all one piece of paper. So I don't have that piece, but that is the layout that I'm going to kind of work with. I'm also going to do this as a single page layout. I'm going to use kind of the structure of how this is. I just may rearrange it. The first thing I'm going to do is bring in a piece of black cardstock, and I'm going to gut out the center, leaving a 1-inch border on this. And I'm going to use that to back or mat my white base layer. So I'll trim that white base layer down by 1/4 of an inch on each side, so that you can have a little black border to kind of mimic the way that the paper in the example, in the instruction guide is shown. However, when I finish with this layout, you'll see that it's not necessary, because after the stamping and the other pieces of paper laid on here, you can't see pretty much any of this black border. So this is a step that you could eliminate. So now I'm just laying these pieces out, flipping them around, seeing which side I want to use, where I want to place them. I'm also matting my photos. I did print them with a white border. I mat them in the pumpkin pie cardstock and then black cardstock. And then I'm going to bring in my black and white striped paper to add on the inside of each of those spell books pieces on each side, just to add a little bit more texture and makes the page a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. I kind of mess around with this quite a bit. I'm going to bring in a strip of the green potions paper to put over the transition between these two papers here. And I really like that, but then I realized that I don't have any more of that paper left. I only have enough for that one paper strip. So I'm using black glitter ribbon instead. I've got plenty of that. And then I decided that I wasn't sure I wanted the background paper to stay white. So I'm reaching into my stash it's an old close to my heart background stamp. I use it often, and I'm just going to stamp right down the center of this page, overlapping them different directions and just kind of covering it up to give it some texture. It kind of mimics, again, that photo of the kit as it comes. That paper is a grid paper, and while this isn't a grid, it does have little tiny squares almost, so it's similar to me. It just kind of adds a little bit of dimension to the background of this paper. Even though a lot of it's going to be covered with pictures and other pieces of paper, you can see this when it's done, and I do really like how this came out. So now that that's done, I'm going to bring all of my pieces back in and layer it back on the black cardstock, bring in my side strips, my black ribbon on each side, and then I'll lay my photos back out again of the placeholder I was using, because I thought I was going to bring in another photo, but or do my journaling there, but I decided to not do either of those things. My title is this rub-on. It says Happy Halloween, and I've had these in my stash for a long time. I'm going to rub this on and then cut it out using my nested essential die set from Stampin' Up. The paper isn't quite big enough to cover, the die cut doesn't cover the whole paper, but because it's being tucked down in there, it didn't really matter. So I used that. I'm going to use this spider web sticker as a final touch, and then I'll add a few more embellishments to finish this one up. Alright, this one is finished as well. Bring that up a little bit closer so you can see the details. I finally got a chance to use these rub-on embellishments I've been dying to use. I've had them for a long time. So let me show you what I did. Here is the left and right page as illustrated in the instructions. And basically what I did was just kind of merge them together. So instead of having the books on two different pages of a double page layout, I just put them on the same layout, single page layout, one on each side. I took this black and white embellishment and this one and tied it into these strips going right here. And then I added my glitter ribbon just to cover the seam and make it look a little bit more flawless, less hide that transition between the two papers. I didn't include the banners, and I didn't include this eek sticker or the green because I have another layout still that I think I would rather use those on. So I did use the spider web, and I didn't use this Fright Night sticker because they're not out trick-or-treating, and I still have trick-or-treating pictures that I can use that for. And the Hello October I'm saving for more of a fall layout. So that's it for the embellishments. I did dig into my stash, as I've already told you, and found a few things that I could add to this page. I only have 2 embellishment clusters, and that's okay. It doesn't really bother me. I will add a little strip down there. It just says my son's name, age, and what he dressed up as. But as far as journaling, I don't think there's much more of a story to tell. He dressed up for Halloween, and that just about covers it. So I still have a couple more full pages in this pack, as well as a whole bunch of scraps. So I'm going to see what I can continue working on. This next one is also going to be a single page layout. I'm going to start with a white base. I'm not sure if that will stay, but it's always my jumping off point to grab a white piece of paper. This one is one of my cheaper papers that I just got off of Amazon. I don't pull out the nicer cardstock until I know for sure what my base is going to be. And on this one, I'm not sure. I might actually be able to use this. When it was delivered, I don't know if you can see that, the corners were bent. So I can use this if I cut it or if I glue stuff on top of it. So I'm going to start there. I know that this one's going to be a family page. I've completed the same year of all 3 kids, and so now I want to get the family page done. And I think I'm just going to print out one photo of each child in their costume and just put them straight across the middle, and I'll show you my inspiration. This is my inspiration. It's hard to see with that ring light, but if you can see it over here, it's just one piece of paper cut diagonally across the middle with some embellishments. And I think it's super cute. And because I only have 2 full pieces of paper left, I figure if I cut each of them diagonal, I can get a couple of the same pages made. So I'm going to play around with that, and I will explain what I'm doing as I go. The first thing I'm going to do is take my paper and fold it in half, corner to corner. Crease it really good. I'm going to then flip it over and fold it the other direction just so that that crease line is real good. And then I'm going to cut it with a pair of scissors right up across the middle from corner to corner. I'm going to flip one side over. I'm going to use the black side on this one. And I do put the purple side along with it, and which I do like, but I ended up matting my pictures in purple, and so the purple on the top part would have been too much. So I'm bringing in my gorgeous grape Stampin' Up! Cardstock. I decided to not use it and to go with the pattern, the purple polka dot pattern paper, just to add a little bit more to this page. So I matted all of my pictures on the purple. I still have plenty left over. I'm going to lay those across the middle, and then I decided that I want to add some color to the other side. So I'm bringing in some orange ink and an orange blending brush. I put it in the ink and dab it off to that paper there on the left, and then I put it onto my background, my base layer. You can see there I'm starting in the middle where those darker spots are going to be covered by my paper, and then blending up and outwards to get some color. I decided that I want it darker. So you'll see here the bottom portion is much darker than the top portion, and that's okay. That's done on purpose because I know that my paper is going to cover that up. So I just kind of like that little burst of color coming out behind my pictures. I'm now cutting a couple of tags. I used some dies that I had got off of Amazon a while back. I had to trim down that top left tag because I already glued down my pictures. So I tucked that in there. I have a stamp and punch set that I got from a garage sale a long time ago that's a spider web. So I cut those out and put them down on top of the tags, and then added in that Boo as my title. It's a glitter door hanger is how it was sold, but I think it's really cute on the paper here. I have an old Close to My Heart stamp and die set, so I stamped out some bats and die cut them, put them around the page, and then I went into my stash and found some old brads, Halloween brads that I knew I had. They're spiders and little purple circles with black stars, and I'm using the black star and purple circle brads to fill the whole of those tags. And I ended up putting the little spider brads on the spider webs, which came out really cute. I added a couple of word stickers to the top there. Let me show you how this turned out. So there you can see that spider die that I put onto the web. It's really cute. Added some journaling down there to the bottom. There's my glitter title and my bats. This was a really simple page to put together, and I think it came out really cute. For this next one, I took a look at the pictures that I've been working with. I've been basically working with 2 different years of photos, but for each kid and a family page. And what's left for my older daughter for one of those years is 4 photos, and one of them has to be at least a full 4x6 or 3x4. It can't be made square. So I pulled out my template for that. And the other one could be made square or could go also as a full 4x6. And then the other 2 that I have would easily be a square, or they would have to be printed. They could be printed tall, portrait like this as well. I didn't really want to do 4 3x4s. Let me bring in those templates. I didn't really want to do this, 4 3x4s in the middle. I thought it might be nice to have some larger photos just because it's a page of just her. That would be cute. But I think what I'm going to do instead of doing that is do my 2 4x6s and 2 square, so that it's like this. And then I went and looked at all of my scraps, what I have left, and I was trying to figure out how I can use this up the best. And I see that I've got these are the largest pieces that I have. I'm actually going to use the stripe side. I'm going to use the orange side for this, and I'm going to use the black side for this because these photos will be the same photos I worked on earlier that have a black and white curtain in the background, and my daughter was a pumpkin this year, so the black, white, and oranges go together. So I was thinking it would be really easy and quick to just do some strips across the page, but they're not long enough. But I think that I can cut them strategically to get them to go all the way across. So what I'm thinking is something like this. I bring in my white paper, and again, this is one of my cheaper pages that I picked up somewhere. It's not the Stampin' Up! White cardstock, because most of it's going to be covered, and I want to hold on to that nicer stuff for layouts that show more of it. So I'm thinking something along the lines of this. I want them to be different sizes. I'll trim this down so I'm focusing on this left side of the page. So if I have them something like this where they're different lengths on the side, I will also trim these probably down so that they all match in width so that they're all the same. Something like this, and I've got this one long skinny piece. I could even put that up to near the top, or maybe even down here on the bottom, somewhere in here. So these would be like this, and it would match similar to on the other side, and then the photos would go like this. And what I'm thinking is if I cut them behind the papers that's behind this, I can then tuck it on the other side so it appears that it came all the way across, even though it doesn't. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to mat each of these photos on probably white, and then mat all 4 of them together on, I believe, orange. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of speed this up and walk you through how I finish this layout. And you can see if I do this, then I have very little left as far as orange. Like, these are just little scraps that I'll trim off the extras and just set these in with the rest of my scraps for adding into pages in the future. I've been collecting cutting 2x2 squares from any piece that I could, because I know I can make one final layout with those. And I was thinking at some point I might take these 2 triangles, the one triangle that I have, I would actually have to cut this purple one down to a smaller triangle, so like this, and then make this one match. And I was thinking if I did that, I could make a square if I had 2 more pieces, but of another pattern, which I do still have a full sheet of this pattern and a couple of scraps. So I still have a few more layouts that I'm going to get out of this paper pack. The first thing I'm going to do is start replacing my templates here with the actual photos. I printed them with a white border, so they're already got one mat on them. And then I'm going to go ahead and mat all 4 photos on one larger sheet of this pool party cardstock. Once I've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and start messing around with all of these pieces. So you can see I'm organizing them on the left side. to see how I like them. And then once I have them how I like them, I can go ahead and pull them out, cut them down, and then carry the next piece over across to the other side. So it looks like it's one piece of paper, but it's not actually. This is a great way to really stretch your scraps. If you don't have enough, you can't see it behind all the photos anyways. So I'm just going through and trimming down each of these papers so that they fit behind. You could actually trim them even smaller if you wanted to. You really only need a couple of inches for each side. I didn't. You can see there when I picked it up, I left a decent amount behind there. I found some Halloween ribbon that I stretched across the top there. I'm going to kind of use that as my title. And then I have these black glitter border stickers. They have bats and pumpkins, and I've had these in my stash for a long time and I've never found the right place to use them. So what I'm doing instead of using the whole border is just trimming down a couple of bats for each side on a few of the different strips of paper. And the pumpkins, I'm actually cutting the pumpkins apart, the single pumpkin. I just kind of cut along the curve of that pumpkin, and I'll set a few of those around the layout. I think it adds a nice touch without using the whole border when I don't really need to use the whole border. So I'm going to finish laying these around the different areas of my layout. I decided to mat the entire layout on Pool Party, but I got out the middle of that paper. All right, this one is also complete. I will print out a little label on the bottom that just has her name and her age, just Taylor's name and age. Everything else is done. I'll show you those kind of glitter stickers close up. Aren't they cute? The pumpkins, you can't really see the cutout of the faces, but I knew that when I stuck them down, and it doesn't really bother me. So this is another one that is done. So I'm going to move on. I think I can get at least 2 more pages out of this pack, maybe 3. So we'll put this one away and get started on the next one. So for this next one, I know I'm going to print out 2 4x6 pictures and 1 3x4 in this orientation. I'm actually going to also add a small QR code because I have a video that I want to attach to this too. And so I was looking at all of my scraps that I had left over, and I took most of those scraps, you can see a few of them over here on the side, and I pulled out anything that was big enough to make at least a 2x2 square and set it aside. These as well, and all of these. And I took whatever was left over and I just cut strips, all different lengths and all different widths. So these I had already cut, and some of these were scraps that were already left over, so I tried to match as much as I could as I laid it out. And I'm just going to piece together a background. These are leftover pieces because I'm not sure. I may need to cut some more to fill in some gaps, and I don't want to put strips of paper where my photos are going to go. So I'll make sure as I lay these out and only put my strips where they won't be covered. So that's what I'm going to do for this next one. The first thing I'm going to do is bring in my second Versa mat here and a piece of paper so I can transfer what I have laid out onto the other piece of paper without having to pick them all up. So you can see here I'm just putting all of my pieces onto my paper. I'm going to put as many as I can, as many as I have across the paper, and then once I start laying my photos down, I can rearrange or trim the strips of paper down. You can see some of them are overhanging the edge of the paper, and I can trim those. I also have decided I'm going to ink all of my edges. I just think it'll really make these paper pieces stand out. So here you can see I'm just taking my ink blending brush and I'm using black ink, and I'm just going around all of the edges. It's going to take me a little bit. I won't do all of them on camera, but here you can see them all done. Doesn't that just look so much nicer with them all inked up? And you can see I trimmed off the edges. I rearranged them so that there's no paper strips behind where my photos are. I'm going to go ahead and mat my photos in a black mat, and then I've dug into my stash here to find some cute Halloween chipboard pieces. So I finished one more. This one I didn't do a whole lot of embellishing on because I feel like the paper piecing in the back is enough. I don't want to cover it up and distract from that. And I am, as I always say, a simple scrapbooker. I don't need to have too much going on. I want to fill my space nicely, and I feel like this layout does that. So I added my QR code here. It'll take you to a video that I have on YouTube. It's unlisted, but you can view it. The people who look at this page, especially my daughter Emma, can go watch her little video of her dancing. So that is another one complete. I think I'm on to, this might be number 11 layouts that have been completed with this one paper pack. So you can see how far you can stretch one paper pack and a couple extra pieces of white cardstock. So I'm going to pull out what I have left and see what we can still make. Let me show you what I have left. I have a little bit of this coordinating cardstock left. I'm not as concerned about using up the cardstock because I can use these colors on other layouts. This is not Halloween specific, but that's what I have left as far as cardstock. And I'm going to try to use a little bit more of it, but like I said, it's not as big of a deal if I don't use this up. I'm really trying to use up all the patterned paper. I have a few more of these left, and again, I'm not as concerned about these because I do have some other stuff in mind for some of these stickers that don't have to go with this particular paper pack. As far as pattern paper goes, I have the most left of this, which I also don't mind because this also could be used for other stuff. I am going to try to use it, but if I don't end up using this one, I'm okay with that. And then this is all that I have left of the rest of it. So the orange was backed with the books. The green has the stripes on the other side, and the purple has this on the other side. So what I'm going to do next is create a 6x8 page for my oldest son. I don't scrapbook for him anymore because he's an adult, so I don't do full 12x12 layouts or albums for him anymore. But when he's around and he's in pictures, I like to do something for him. So I'm creating a 6x8 album for him just so he still has something to look through, but I don't have the time to continue on with a 12x12 layout album for him as well. So that's what I'm going to do next. I decided to do 6 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares with 2 3x4 layouts, and I'm going to pause this on this one and come back to it in a little bit, show you something else. I'm going to work on this 2-page 12x12 layout, and then I'll go back to the one I was just working on. I'm using these templates. I've had them in my stash forever. It's from a company called Kiwi Lane, and you lay them out and you trace them, and then you cut them, and when you cut them in half, you end up with two sides that complement each other perfectly, and you can put one on each side of your layout. So I'm using these templates. However, you don't have to have a template to do this. You can just draw a wavy line and cut it. You can draw a wavy line and then cut it in half and use it how I did. I did that with the orange and the purple papers as well, and put them each on, one on the left side and one on the right. And now I'm just laying out my photos. So I've printed out 6 4x3 photos and 4 3x4 photos to go on this family layout. And I'm matting each of those photos in a very thin white mat. And then I'm going to take each of those photos on the side, each side, and put them all on one mat. So these 3 photos on the right side will go on one strip of grape paper, and the 3 photos on the left will go on another grape piece of paper. And then the line of photos below it will also be matted the same. So you can see I put them on there and then I trimmed it down and repeated on the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay out the next row of photos so I can get an idea of how I want to cut it. I'll cut each of those down and get those matted. I decided to bring in a few more pictures. I'm going to put 3 of these squares on each side of my layout. These are the final pumpkins for our family at this pumpkin carving party that my brother hosts every year. And we don't always get to go to it because it's in California and we live in Arizona, but we got to go this last year. So these are just 2x2 square photos, and I will mat them in white and then again in purple like I did everything else, but I thought it filled in that space nicely. So now I'm going to go through, I'm going to take all my scrap pieces that I have of paper, and I'm just dovetailing the end. And you can see I'm just cutting one small cut up the middle of those papers, and then going in from each corner to the middle to make that triangle cut. You can also fold your paper like this and just cut it diagonally from the corner up to the middle, and that works nicely as well. So I'm going to take my time to go through all of these different scraps of paper that I have and cut these into banners. You can see they're all different lengths, all different widths. There's no rhyme or reason. This is just the pieces of paper that I have left over, and I'm trying to space them out so that you get, you know, some of the purple, some of the stripes, some of the orange spread across nicely. I then decided to cut a 1/2 inch from the pool party that's on lining each of those layouts and bring it in across the bottom, and that's kind of anchoring my banner strips. Here you can see I'm going to go ahead and mat these 2x2 photos individually on the grape cardstock as well to tie it into everything else. I did go ahead and mat them in white, then matted them again on the purple. I'll get those all laid out, and then I'm going to start bringing in some other scraps of paper to embellish the photo strips, all of my different pictures. I'm using these die cuts. They're older die cuts from Close to My Heart that will cut out 2 different tags, and I'm just cutting out tags from whatever scraps are big enough to cut them out, and I'm going to line them. You can see all the way across the top. I didn't like that, so I took them off. They're going to end up going on the side. I haven't put them down yet, but in the meantime I found a few more stickers that I can put down here and just you know, where the banners are. And again, over on the side, I decided to cut the teeniest little labels. These pieces of paper that are going around have each of my kids' names on them, and I put them in front of the pumpkin that they carved, so that when you look at this family page, you know who carved which pumpkin. Alright, this one is all finished as well. I'll pick it up so you can see it. I added the title to the top there. I added a few of the stickers, the star stickers, and I messed around a whole lot with the journaling. I didn't really want to cover up all of my little banner pieces down here, but I really did want to tell a little bit of the story, so I did go ahead and cover it up. I've got my QR code over here to watch a video of my son and my brother using this power drill to do his pumpkin. It's really kind of cute. And other than that, this one is done. So I'm down to just a few pieces left. Let me show you what I have left. I've got these tags that I cut. I'm going to hang on to those because I'm sure I can use them on another project. And then I have these pieces left over from the green and the striped. And I have, this is all I have left over now from the purple polka dot with the black and white on the back. And then I've got those 2. Oh, here's another green piece. This is my leftover from my purple cardstock. I do have a full sheet left of this stripe, which is okay. I can definitely use this color on something else. I do have an idea for this already that is kind of Halloween related, but I'm going to leave that for now. I have a couple of pieces left of the orange cardstock. I do have 2 full pieces of the green. I just didn't use the green. Didn't fit in as well with my photos as the rest, but I can use that with other stuff. I have a couple more small scraps of the purple, and then I do have quite a bit of this pool party color. And again, I can definitely use that on another layout. And then I have a handful of stickers left. So this green border sticker I didn't use. Anything that had the potions or the spell I didn't use. And then these, I have other Halloween layouts that I know I'll use these on in the future. Even though I don't have enough paper left to make those layouts, I can still pull in some of the purple. I will keep these scraps and I can use them on some other layouts in the future. I have one more 6x8 layout I think I can do with these. Oh, and then I have these. So anything that I could of the scraps cut down to a 2x2 square, I did. So I've got a good handful of 2x2 squares, which is why I think I can make a 6x8 layout with these. And then that will be it. I went through my recent pictures and I did find one more picture that doesn't belong in a full 12 by 12 album. It's a picture of my daughter's dog. And so I'm going to do a 6 by 8 page that I can add to a pets album for her. She takes so many pictures of her dog, and I don't want to put those in her album because it doesn't really go there unless she's in the picture. It definitely doesn't belong in a family album, so I'm just going to do one on its own. So I cut down my 6 by 8 paper here. I had all these leftover 2 by 2 squares. I cut them down to 1.5 by 1.5 inch squares so that they would fit on here. I don't think I can get another one, but I can do them like this. And then I can I've got one picture. I'm going to print it out as a 4 by 5 photo instead of a 4 by 6 photo. That way it will fit on here better. As you can see, I'm just left over with all these little pieces, and I'll just put them in a little envelope. I have a little bag that I can just set these aside and drop them in with my Halloween box, and then eventually I could add them as extra pieces. Like all of these green pieces could definitely be something similar to my last layout where they're banners across the bottom. So I'm not going to toss them, but I definitely can't do a whole other layout with just green strips. I ended up cutting my squares down to 1.5 by 1.5 instead of 2 by 2, and I'm now going around and inking all of the edges. And you can see I'm not putting squares of paper in the middle where my photo is going to be, because they're going to be completely covered. I'm just doing the perimeter of my 6 by 8 base layer there. So I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges. I did print this photo out as a 4 by 5 with a white border, and I matted it again on the orange cardstock. Now I'm bringing back in the page that I had worked on earlier so that I can do the title at the same time. I printed these titles just on white cardstock that says Halloween with the year for each of them, and then used my paper trimmer to cut them down to roughly 1/2 inch paper strips. And then I'm dovetailing each of those banners, and then I will go ahead and ink the edges of both of those and put them down onto the layouts. It just makes them stand out a little bit more. So here are the 2 6 by 8 pages that I did. On these ones I didn't add embellishments and I didn't add a journaling or a big title because there's not much to say about these. This is my daughter's dog. She tried on a costume at the pet store. She looked kind of silly and we took a picture, and I don't think we need to say much more about it. This is just for my daughter to flip through. Same with this for my son. This is Halloween 2022, and I don't think we need to say much more about it. I oftentimes will write a little something on the back, so if he wants to know how old they are, I'll put it on the back and he can pull it out and read it. But I didn't want to add a bunch of stuff to those. So that's that. Let me show you now what I'm going to do with the rest. So this is all I have left. I have these pieces that are too big to fit in here. These are just all little pieces that can still be used for little banners or pops of color here and there. And this is what I have left for the pack. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and kind of tear it apart. What I'm going to do is put this paper in one of these sleeves. I can link to this in the description below. For this color family, the pool party, and then try to use that up on a project in the near future. These are the cardboard pieces that have the colors of the paper and whatnot on it, so for the most part I don't need that. I may cut out that little square. The sticker sheet will go in with my Halloween box. I have a box of Halloween themed things, and then each of these papers will go into one of these sleeves as well. So the pool party will go in one like this, and I will label it with the name, and I'll put this, I believe is green apple, in one. I'll put the purple in one and the orange in one, even though they're scraps, because it's, as I order papers or I get papers from other kits that are in the same color grouping, I can put them in these folders and use them again. And should I ever pull this out and want to use this, I will have this on, I know what colors they are, and I can go to my cardstock section, my cardstock storage, and pull out the color that I need to go along with this. And if I don't have any left, then I'll use other colors that will go with this. I'm not one that has to have the exact same color, but I am going to go ahead and split this up. I'm not going to keep it all together in one kit anymore because there's only a few things left on here. So I will show you real quick my box. I get these storage boxes at Hobby Lobby. It's a 12 by 12 box. I usually get them in this black and white or all black or all white just because it matches my decorations. And you can see in here I have my original instructions for the workshop kit that I may want to reference again in the future. I didn't want to throw it away, so I threw it in here. I have all of my Halloween embellishments that I've collected over the years. I was able to use a lot of them in this project. And then I have my papers. I just have one paper pack that I've had forever. So I put all my Halloween stuff in here. I've got one for Christmas and one for a couple other holidays. So this sticker sheet will just go in here along with the scraps, and then I'll find something to put the bigger scraps in so they can go in here as well. I want to show you a couple more things that I forgot. So I found a bigger plastic sleeve. I keep all of these plastic and zip top bags that packaging from when I order things because you never know what you can use them for. So I still have my small pieces in this smaller one inside of there, the bigger ones in here. And what I did is I cut out the back of that cardboard that comes with the packaging that says what all the colors are. So if I pull out these scraps to use them in the future, even though there's not very many of them, if I slide that in there, I know what cardstock I need to go pull to coordinate with it. So that will go into my Halloween theme box. Same with the stickers. I cut out the back and I literally just used my tape runner and stuck it onto the back. So if I want to use one of these stickers and coordinate it with some cardstock, I know which cardstock to go get. So that will also go in my Halloween box. And then this one is just the two-tone cardstock packaging, and this one I'll use to label my envelopes here, and then once those are put away, this I will just toss. And then that whole pack has been divvied up and has been used to the best of its ability. I do think that if the right stencils or new products that may come out in the future, that I can pull some of these scraps to continue to use them. A lot of people will just throw these away, and if they sit in my box unused for too long, then I will just toss all of it. But it doesn't take up that much space, and I have room in that box at the moment to keep this. And if I start to run out of space at some point, then I will purge that. In the meantime, for right now, I will go ahead and keep it. So I'm going to put all this away, and then we'll talk about how many layouts I got out of this paper pack. Here is my pile of all the layouts that I was able to create. I got these two 6x8 layouts and 13 pages. Some of those are single page, some of those go together for double page layouts, but there are 13 layouts in this pile. I have created a digital sketchbook that includes all of the layouts that I did here that you see right now, along with the previous layouts from the last two videos that I posted. Anybody who purchases this paper pack currently is still available. I will email you the digital sketchbook so that you can create all of these layouts or some of them. If you would like to, you can purchase just the digital sketchbook as well. There's a link down below that will allow you to do that. I've also linked to the last two videos showing the layouts that I created using this paper pack. And as always, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please go ahead and do that. Give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment if you'd like.